Shout out Stashbox. Let's chop. Looks like an untouched.
So today we're going to be doing a deep dive on some pretty interesting stuff. We're looking at this cannabis strain called Apples and Bananas, and this music and video production company called Stashbox. And you might be thinking, like, what do those two things have in common? Well, that's what we're here to find out. We've got some source material that we're going to be looking at that might hold the answers.
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating how these seemingly unrelated topics can kind of intersect and reveal these unexpected connections. So I'm really curious to see what we find out as we kind of dig into this.
Me too. So first up, let's talk about Apples and Bananas. Our main source here is this song, and get the file name is Apples and Bananas 01A Great.wave. Almost like a digital artifact. And the lyrics are pretty wild. They don't hold back on the sensory details at all.
That's a really interesting detail. Even the file name kind of hints at a certain meticulousness, you know?
Right. It's like they're documenting a process or something. And the lyrics themselves, they're full of these vibrant descriptions like untouched, nicer Baca glory covered in sugar, and magnificent heaven-sent delighted Colorado. It's not just describing the product, it's painting a picture, you know?
Yeah, and that's where you start to see the branding element come in. You know, it's not just about getting high, it's about a specific experience, a certain aesthetic.
For sure, and that aesthetic seems to be all about quality and exclusivity. The song mentions top shelf, which, you know, for anyone not familiar with cannabis lingo, it means it's considered high quality, like the good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's also talk of OCD freakery, which I'm guessing refers to the meticulous care they take in growing and handling the buds.
Yeah, it's almost like an artisan approach to cannabis cultivation, you know, focusing on that precision and attention to detail. And I think that connects back to the idea of a premium experience.
Definitely. And there are these repeated mentions of Bubba Enzo, which I think could be a clue to the strain's lineage. Basically, you know, it's like a family tree for cannabis. It shows the genetic heritage of a particular strain. So Bubba Enzo might be a parent strain, or the breeder who developed Apples and Bananas.
Oh, interesting, like tracing the origins of a fine wine or cheese or something, you know, understanding where it comes from and what makes it unique.
Exactly. And speaking of uniqueness, the song mentions different variations of Apples and Bananas, blue, red, and the original. I don't know about you, but I'm kind of curious what those color variations might mean. Do they taste different, have different effects?
That's a great question, and it's definitely something worth exploring further. Color variations in cannabis often point to different chemical profiles, which can influence the aroma, the flavor, and even like the type of high you experience.
So it's not just about the name Apples and Bananas, it's a whole family of experiences within that strain.
Absolutely. And all of this, the descriptions, the colors, the lineage, it all contributes to building that brand identity for Apples and Bananas.
And the song really reinforces that brand by highlighting this meticulous handling and packaging. There's a line about the fine processes to carry on the stem before we split them in halves. So it's not just about growing, it's about presenting it in the way that elevates the experience.
Yeah, it's like they're treating it as a luxury product, emphasizing the care and the craftsmanship that goes into every step.
Totally. Now, remember how I mentioned that file name, Apples and Bananas 01A Great.wave? Well, that's where the connection to our second topic, Stashbox, starts to emerge.
Okay, this is where it gets interesting. Let's dive into Stashbox and see how they fit into the picture.
So Stashbox, from what we've gathered from their website, is a music and video production company. And they're really pushing the boundaries of AI in creative production. They're based in South Florida and describe themselves as a live band, but there's a lot more to them than meets the eye.
Yeah, what's really intriguing to me is how they're embracing AI as a tool for creativity. You know, this is a rapidly evolving field, and it's fascinating to see how artists are incorporating these technologies into their work.
Right, they're not just playing gigs, they're experimenting with new ways of making music. They have this dedicated Spotify playlist called Stashboxi, where they showcase their AI-generated tracks. And you can actually hear the difference. It's like this blend of human artistry and machine intelligence.
Oh, wow. It would be interesting to know more about their process. Like, what tools and techniques are they using to create this AI-generated music? What's the balance between human input and machine learning?
Those are great questions, and we might get some answers as we dig a little deeper. They have a pretty strong online presence. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, and Reverb Nation. They even have music videos on YouTube for songs like Highway Funk, Ocean Jam, and Space Jam. It's clear they're tech savvy and not afraid to experiment with different platforms and mediums.
Yeah, it's almost like they're a case study in how artists can leverage technology to create, promote, and distribute their work in the digital age.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And now let's circle back to that connection with apples and bananas. At the very beginning of the song, there's this shout out to Stashbox. So what does it mean? Did Stashbox produce the song? Is it just a casual shout out to a favorite strain?
That's the million-dollar question. It could be a collaboration, a subtle endorsement, or simply a nod to shared interests. But whatever the connection is, it hints at this fascinating intersection of music technology and cannabis culture.
And that intersection is what we're going to explore further as we continue this deep dive. So stay tuned, because we're just getting started.
You know, it's really wild how music can act as like a bridge between these totally different worlds. Like you have this high-end cannabis strain and then this forward-thinking music production company.
Yeah, totally. It's like music is the common language, connecting that like experience of enjoying a particular strain with the creativity and innovation of Stashbox and their AI-driven music.
And that connection just brings up so many questions. Like, how is AI actually being used in music production? It's not just about robots replacing musicians, is it?
Definitely. It's more about like expanding the creative toolkit for artists. From what I understand, there are these AI programs that can help generate melodies, harmonies, even like whole song structures. It's like having this virtual collaborator that can help you explore different musical ideas.
Yeah, and that's where the potential really lies, in that collaboration between like human creativity and artificial intelligence. Like imagine a musician using AI to break through a creative block, or to experiment with sounds they might never have thought of before, or even to like create entirely new genres of music.
It's pretty mind-blowing when you think about the possibilities. And Stashbox seems to be right at the forefront of this whole movement. They're using AI to not only create the music, but also to produce their videos too. They're really blurring the lines between technology and artistry.
And that brings up another interesting thing about Stashbox. They're not just like a studio project, they're a real live band. They perform all the time, and their shows are known for being super high energy and engaging.
Yeah. Which is interesting because you'd think a band that's so into technology would be all about like virtual performances and online content, but they're out there actually connecting with audiences in the real world.
Exactly. It shows that they don't see AI as like a replacement for human connection, but as like a way to enhance and enrich that live music experience. Like maybe they're using AI to create these interactive elements in their shows, or maybe they're using it to like tailor their set lists based on the audience's preferences in real time.
That's so cool. It's like they're taking the best of both worlds, combining that precision and innovation of AI with the raw energy and spontaneity of a live performance.
Right, and it makes you wonder about like the future of music. Will we see more bands starting to use AI in their creative process? And will audiences even be open to these new sounds and experiences?
I think it's kind of inevitable. Technology is changing so fast, and music has always been a reflection of the times. We're already seeing AI-generated music getting more popular. And I think it's just a matter of time before it becomes totally mainstream.
And that raises some really important questions about the role of the artist in a world where machines can just make music. Like, will human creativity become even more valuable because it's the thing that sets us apart from machines? Or will AI eventually reach a point where it can just replicate or even surpass human artistry?
Those are some deep questions. Like, philosophers and artists are going to be grappling with those for years to come. But for now, it's really exciting to see how these pioneers like Stashbox are pushing the boundaries and exploring this totally uncharted territory.
And it's not just about the music itself. Their approach to promotion and distribution is also worth talking about. They're really active on social media, streaming platforms, and online video to connect with their audience and build a following.
Yeah. It's a good reminder that in today's music industry, you have to be tech savvy and adaptable to make it. It's not enough to just make good music. You got to know how to reach your audience in this crowded digital landscape.
Totally. And Stashbox seems to be mastering that side of things too. They're not just creating content. They're creating a whole experience for their fans across multiple platforms.
And that brings us back to the connection with apples and bananas. It's possible that Stashbox's involvement in the song was more than just a musical contribution. Maybe they played a role in shaping the brand and the marketing strategy for the strain.
That's a really interesting thought. It would point to a much deeper level of collaboration. where Stashbox is bringing their expertise in music technology and branding to like elevate the perception of a cannabis product.
Yeah, it's like they're using their creative and technological skills to create this multi-sensory experience that goes beyond just smoking a joint. They're crafting a story, an identity, a whole vibe around apples and bananas.
And that, I think, is where the real innovation is. It's not just about using technology to make things louder or flashier. It's about using it to tell stories, to evoke emotions, to create experiences that connect with people on a deeper level.
It's about connecting the dots between music technology and cannabis culture in a way that feels authentic and engaging.
Exactly. And that's why this whole apples and bananas and Stashbox connection is so fascinating. It's like a glimpse into a future where creativity and technology are intertwined in ways we can only begin to imagine.
It's a future where the lines between the artist, the producer, and the consumer are blurred, where experiences are personalized and immersive, and where music is more than just something you listen to. It's something you feel, you interact with, you become a part of.
It's a future where maybe like AI-generated music paired with certain cannabis strains could create totally new sensory experiences, like tailored to individual preferences.
Whoa, that's a wild thought.
Yeah.
It's like a whole new dimension of creativity is opening up.
Yeah.
And we're just starting to explore the possibilities. But for now, let's bring it back down to earth a bit.
Right, let's recap what we've learned about apples and bananas and Stashbox. So, apples and bananas, the cannabis strain is more than just a name. It's a brand built on sensory language, meticulous production, and an air of exclusivity.
And Stashbox, the music and video production company, is really pushing the limits of AI in creative production, using technology to enhance their music and their connection with their audience.
And the connection between the two that shout out in the song, it suggests like a deeper collaboration, a merging of creativity, technology, and cannabis culture.
It's a glimpse into a future where the lines between those worlds are getting blurrier and blurrier, and where the possibilities for innovation seem limitless.
But what does it all mean for you, the listener? What can you take away from all of this? That's what we'll be exploring in the final part of this episode, so stay tuned because the conversation is just getting started.
Okay, so we've got this cannabis strain, apples and bananas, that's presented like some kind of luxury brand. And then we've got Stashbox, these musical innovators using AI to make and share their art in these crazy new ways.
And it's that connection, that shout out in the song that really makes you think. It's like a little spark that shows us this bigger picture of how music technology and cannabis culture are all coming together.
Yet it's not just about enjoying a certain strain or listening to a cool song. It's how those things become like part of a bigger cultural experience, right?
Totally. And it makes you think about how we like consume and interact with art in this digital world. You know, Stashbox isn't just using AI to make music. They're using it to connect with fans, to build a whole community.
Yeah.
They're using technology to create this more like immersive and personalized experience for people.
It's like they're breaking down the walls between the artists and the audience, creating a more direct and engaging relationship.
And that has implications for all kinds of art, not just music. I mean, we're seeing AI being used in visual art, film, even writing. It's changing the way we create and experience art in these huge ways.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? Well, for one thing, it means we're living in a time with crazy creative possibilities. The tools are out there. Anyone with a little imagination can create something amazing.
And we have more ways to connect with artists and their work than ever before. We're not limited by geography or the old ways of doing things. We can find new music art ideas from all over the world just by clicking a few buttons.
It's like creativity for everyone.
Yeah.
And that's super exciting. But it comes with some challenges too. As AI gets more and more advanced, it makes you wonder about the role of human creativity.
Right. We have to ask ourselves, what makes human art unique? What is it about a melody created by a person or a painting made by hand that moves us in a way a machine can?
It's a tough question to answer, but it's a question worth thinking about as we try to figure out this new world of AI-driven creativity.
And maybe the answer isn't about seeing AI as a threat. Maybe it's about seeing it as like a collaborator, a new instrument in the orchestra of human expression.
I love that. It's not about humans versus machines. It's about finding ways to work together to combine the best of both worlds.
Exactly. And maybe, just maybe, the future of art isn't about AI replacing humans, but about AI helping us unlock new levels of human creativity, pushing us past our limits and inspire us to create things we never thought possible.
Now that's a future I'm all for. So as we wrap up this deep dive, we want to leave you with this thought. The next time you hear a song or look at a painting or watch a movie, ask yourself this: What role did technology play in making it? And how is that technology shaping the way you experience and connect with that art?
Because the more we understand how art and technology work together, the better we'll be able to navigate this exciting new world of creativity.
And remember, the deep dive doesn't end here. We encourage you to keep exploring these topics, to listen to Stashbox's music, to learn more about AI and how it's affecting the arts. Keep asking questions, keep exploring, and keep diving deep into this amazing world around you.
Because the best discoveries are often the ones we make ourselves.
And on that note, we'll leave you to your own explorations. Until next time, keep diving deep.